Look at the capital flight from Russia since August. Close to $60 billion already. Look at the collapse of the Russian stock market. It's now been closed for days. In a way, this is a reminder to Putin that he cannot operate as if Russia was the Soviet Union. Iran is an important country in a very volatile region in which we have major interests, and the nuclear issue is enormously complex, and it cannot be resolved unless we talk seriously, but we talk without preconditions. We cannot have negotiations in which we say to the other party, we'll negotiate with you, but only if, prior to the negotiations, you satisfy our central demand. That is a prescription for paralysis, to which then the only alternative becomes a war. And do we need an additional war in that part of the world? We already have one in Iraq. We have one in Afghanistan. One is beginning to develop in regions of Pakistan. Do we want to add Iran to that list? Well, first of all, let's not oversimplify history. The Afghans were very appreciative of our help. And this is why we were able to overthrow the Taliban after 9/11, 2001, with only 300 soldiers. What I have been saying publicly now for several months is that we have to avoid over-militarizing our presence in Afghanistan. We are running the risk of replicating the mistake the Soviets made, who thought they could conquer Afghanistan with the help of some Afghan Marxists, but largely through an army of occupation. If we pursue that path, we'll end up having most Afghans against us, because the Afghans are independent-minded, they're xenophobic, they don't care for the presence of Western troops, different nationality, different religion than their own, using arms on their soil. We have to be seeking some form of decentralized political accommodation, and that requires much more sophistication and much less militarization in our policy.
U.S. National Security Advisor Brzezinski flew to Pakistan to set about rallying resistance. He wanted to arm the Mujahideen without revealing America's role. On the Afghan border near the Khyber Pass, he urged the soldiers of God to redouble their efforts.
We know of their deep belief in God, and we are confident that their struggle will succeed. That land over there is yours. You'll go back to it one day because your fight will prevail and you'll have your homes and your mosques back again because your cause is right and God is on your side.
The purpose of coordinating with the Pakistanis will be to make the Soviets bleed for as much as long as is possible.
I think we are putting all Muslims into the same camp, which is a very counterproductive definition of the problem. It's like if you were talking about terrorism in Northern Ireland, you would always refer to it as Catholic terrorism and describe it as Catholic terrorism. Let's be very careful about Islam. Most Muslims are not extremists. Most Muslim governments are relatively moderate. There is an extremist fundamentalist challenge, but even not all of it is necessarily militantly directed against us. And let me give you a very specific and pertinent example. In Afghanistan, we're dealing with Al-Qaeda and with Taliban. The real problem politically in Afghanistan is the Taliban. Is the Taliban engaged in any acts of terrorism in Great Britain, or in Spain, or in France, or in the United States? The fact of the matter is, it is not. Al-Qaeda operated out of Afghanistan, and rather stupidly and counterproductively, the Taliban regime felt committed to some sort of code of honor in not handing them over to us. But there are two different problems we have there. One is Taliban, which is a genuine Afghan phenomenon, actually a Pashtun phenomenon, and Al-Qaeda, which is a worldwide oriented terrorist organization. They overlap, but they're not the same. We ought to be smart in taking advantage of that difference.
To Dr. Brzezinski, I can't say enough about his contribution to our country. Here's somebody who helped to shape Camp David and bring about a lasting peace between Israel and some of its neighbors. Somebody who has over decades trained some of the most prominent foreign policy specialists, not just in the Democratic Party, but has trained a number who ended up in the Republican Party as well. He is one of our most outstanding scholars, one of our most outstanding thinkers. He has proven to be an outstanding friend and somebody who I've learned an immense amount from. And for him to support me in this campaign and then be willing to come out here to Iowa is a testimony to his generosity. So if everybody could please give Dr. Brzezinski another round of applause.